Hi everybody, we are going to get into IQO for this tech talk to just make sure that we're all clear and clean on how to use the transactions and to make sure that we're getting all our documents in there and doing the right things with them. Asking some of the OMs and other staff, Joey had said that there's a little bit of confusion or lack of precision when people are uploading documents into their transactions. And so let's just have this on file and we can refer to it and say, oh, hey, here's how you do this. And the closer everybody is to doing it the same way, the better it is for all the OMs and all the transaction managers and for Joey. And if there's anyone we need to be pleasing, it's Joey. So here we go. I'm going to act as an agent in Sun Valley, and here's her home page. And so what am I even talking about right now? Hopefully you've all experienced this, where you've started a paperless deal in the digital filing system. And you of course do that in the drop down here. You come down, and because Sun Valley starts with an S, you will have come down to here, Sun Valley under contract form. When you fill this form out, your transaction manager in your office, and these roles differ, but whoever that person is, gets this information, and then what do? They fill out, they open up a transaction for you in IQO, and that lives, of course, over here in financial. And so that's what we're going to look at. But just remember that once you get something under contract, either as the buyer or the seller, you come here, you get this thing going, the under contract form. It's pretty painless, and it notifies the office and the company that, hey, you've got some business going, and we couldn't be happier about that. Okay, so we're going to look at one of this agent's transactions, and she actually is double-siding this, and so it's going to maybe look a little different than yours normally do, but I thought it'd be good to look at all four of the columns that we're going to be focusing on. So if everybody's with me, we're going to jump right into the next step. All right, so here I am in financial, and I want to go to, well, I can do a lot of things here. I can look at the reports, my transaction reports, but and I don't want to do that because I don't want to be weird about anyone's privacy or confidentiality here, but we're going to look at my transactions. These are the things that are currently alive. And keep in mind, IQO thinks of a transaction as any listing that you have is a transaction. What we're talking about, though, are the ones that have moved from just being a listing into the realm of under contract. And so the one we're going to look at is a residential one that Suzanne has. And as you can see here, she is the buying agent as well. So yippee, I love that. Two ways we can get into this here. You can come over here to the actions and hover over and do the edit, or you can just go ahead and click on it, which is what we'll do. And so here we have the details page, which is the default. It's where you go right away, and it's got all the information. This is the transaction ID number that Crest generates. Your transaction managers populate all these things based on that drop down we looked at in a minute ago. Sorry. There's different checklists to choose. Since this is an in-house deal, we use that checklist, so on and so forth. Depending on your market, you have different checklists. You, again, don't need to be worried about any of this stuff. Okay, I'm going to just jump right through here really quick. This details page then is sort of an overview of what the deal is all about. Who are the agents? And in this case, it's Suzanne on both sides. Good job, Suzanne. Love that. Keep in mind, this gray tab are the file cabinet drawers within this file cabinet. So I'm not going to look at the financial because that talks about commissions and percentages and things like that, and I don't need to go into that. But we can look at people, who's involved in this sale. Again, it is the buyer and seller. Here's the title company. Here's the agents. Here's the transaction. It's got a email address, so on and so forth. The four columns the four drawers I really want to focus on are these four: buyer checklist, seller checklist, buyer documents, seller documents. If you're scratching your head why all four of them are there, because usually it's just two, it's because Suzanne is double-siding this, and I thought, well, if I can show all four of these columns, that's fantastic. Typically, most sales, you've got one side or the other, either the seller or the buyer, and so you'll only see two checklists here. But because this is a double-sided deal, we get both, all four of these checklists. Okay, so think of this really as what it says, is the checklist is basically the thing you go to look at to see what you've got going on. The checklists are itemized lists to say, here's what you've got, and that's that. You do not want to be uploading documents from this checklist page. Even though you've got that functionality here, please don't. It's just much cleaner to do it in the two documents columns, either the buyer documents or the seller documents. Okay, so this is where you do the uploading, and you can click here for the upload, or you can do it from down here. You can import it from a folder. You can import it from an e-sign. You can download a zip. You can merge documents here. So this is where the real functionality is in the documents, the two documents drawers right here, buyer documents and or seller documents. Okay, so if you need to upload something, you'll click here and you'll grab whatever it is that you need to upload from your computer, and it will show up here. But here's where we really want to get better, agents, okay? Here's where we really want to get better. Once you upload the thing, we want you to make sure that you give it a name that makes sense to you and to your transaction manager, so that they're not looking at a bunch of letters and numbers that don't mean anything. So once it's in there, go ahead and rename it. And Joey has told me, like, it's really not necessary to have the address there. It might be helpful when it's out in the world, but once it's in your transaction here, it lives here and you don't need to name it that much. So Joey said that the best practice is just simply name it what it is. It's the blue brochure, and you can leave it at that. Okay, this one could just be then renamed as the buyer rep. Now, obviously, I'm not going to say, Suzanne, you should have taken that all out. That's totally fine. But if we can be a little bit cleaner and more streamlined, I think it's going to be good for everybody. The other things you can do from this is you can email this document to someone, to your OM, or to the buyer or the seller or yourself, or whatever you want to do so that you have it. You can also, as we said, rename. You can download it if you needed to put it into another file on your computer. You can split this. And when would you use split? If you've uploaded a 20-page PDF with all these different documents in it, the blue brochure, the buyer rep, the commission statement, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, we would ask that you split it so that it's parsed out into several different pages. So obviously this one won't be split because the blue brochure is a single entity, but let's say there were 3 or 4 different things, 2 different things in here. You could split it, give it new file name, and then save, and all of a sudden you'd go from 1 document to 2 documents and make life much better for your transaction manager. The other thing you can do, if you're comfortable with it, and don't do it if you're not, but you can assign where this goes. See, this one has not been assigned yet. It has no red X next to it. All the ones with the red X unassigned, maybe you didn't want it there, but the one without the red X you can assign, and you get this drop-down menu of all the places this could be. Now, this is a commission statement, and it doesn't really have anywhere to go, so don't assign it. Don't assign it mistakenly. Just let your transaction manager know that you didn't know where to put it. Send an email. Don't overdo it, but if you know where these things go ahead and assign them then. Okay, once you do that, and I know this is a little clunky, but it's okay. Once you do that, then you go to the checklist that you just affected, okay, and you send change notification. And this is an email notification that goes to your transaction manager that you have done something to this transaction. You have added a document, you have changed something, and so this notifies your transaction manager that they need to look at this checklist again and see if everything is copacetic. Okay, so where do you do that? You do that in the checklist, not in the documents columns. You can't send change notification in the documents columns. You can only do it in the checklist columns. Okay, all right, that's a lot of stuff, and Joey already has great trainings that live in the drop-down folder. All these DFS stand for Digital Filing System. I know some of you think it probably stands for Derek freaking Svenningson. It's not. It's Digital Filing System. You can learn how to do all of these things on a much more specific and individualized level. I just wanted to give an overview of, like, let's get better at doing these digital transactions, make life easier for our transaction managers. If we're more consistent and more uniform in this piece of things, we're all going to be a lot happier. I hope this was helpful and that you have lots of reason to use this, because that would mean you're doing lots of deals. So happy Thanksgiving, everybody, and keep up the great work in all of our offices. stay warm and really enjoy your family over the next few weeks. And then you can go back to not enjoying them like me. All right, take care, everybody. Bye-bye.